Hello everyone, welcome back to a Megon 2 Electric Boogaloo. Today I would like to talk about Mossley Hollins High School in Greater Manchester, because they have introduced a number of policy changes which led to a bit of fallout. Why are these policies in place, you ask? Because Andrea Din, the school head, believes that these will improve school culture and encourage mutual respect. These same policies triggered the living feck out of the parents. So there is a chance here there's a generational gap. Or it could be that Andrea Din, via a newsletter, has introduced policies that many believe are ridiculous, pathetic, embarrassing, redundant, and or asinine. Potentially all of the above. Just for the sake of transparency, the only articles that cover this, which include an update article on it, come from the Daily Mail, which is a more conservative-leaning outlet. Whether they are correct or not, that is for us to decide. So parents are fuming after secondary school pupils were banned from the following: hugging, high-fiving, or shaking hands with each other, because the school had introduced a strict no-contact rule. Pupils have also been banned from sitting on overcrowded benches, play fighting, or even holding a place for friends in the lunch queue. Perhaps we should quickly go through these. Hugging is a greeting amongst people who have decent friendships. But of course, no touchy-touchy 2 meters, everyone. High-fiving, that could be considered triggering because it involves 2 hands clapping together. That's inappropriate. Jazz hands, everyone. Dead argument from 2015. No contact. Well, I guess then sports are about to suffer rather interestingly. I guess you can all just play football based on its current, tackling shenanigans. Barred from sitting on overcrowded benches. Benches usually have a number limit, let's call it that. If the bench has reached its limit, this rule is redundant. Play fighting. But WWE's real, everyone. Holding a place for friends in the lunch queue. Now this one, I'm okay with. Do you know why? Because people cut the fucking queue all the time and I hate it. It is inappropriate. Take yourself to the back of the line and stand there and wait. It is my turn to get a bloody panini. After one pupil had hurt herself, she had to ask the teacher for permission for a friend to hug her. That same pupil slammed these rules as ridiculous and unfair. That same pupil commented publicly on Facebook by saying, "I am a current student at this school, and I was in a lesson and I hurt my fingers. My friend sat next to me, had to ask a teacher for permission to hug me? I personally think that it's just unfair. Having to ask to hug your friend is ridiculous." Turns out pupils aren't the only ones that find this to be ridiculous. Parents have also reacted with anger, accusing the school of turning its children into robots. Well, the Cybermen were going to take over eventually. This is just expediting it. The school publishes a newsletter called Newsflash, and they believe that by introducing these rules, it will further improve our positive school culture by making pupils good citizens and encouraging them to have mutual respect for each other. Former students, though, have said that the rules were not going down well with pupils and left them feeling pressured, with one former student, Emma Halpin, who left the school in 2019 saying, "I used to go to the school, and I still know people there. Nobody seems to be in favor of it from what I have seen. It does not seem to be going down very well. A lot of students feel pressured with the rules so far." The thing here is, you can teach mutual respect without having to introduce these rules. Also, it is not your job to teach that. Your job is to educate them. If it is a core curriculum subject, then you teach it. Otherwise, you do not. Implementing additional rules as a way of trying to make them show respect only creates further division and forces those that want to, for example, hug underground, to more clandestine manners to obtain that thing that friends do to each other, i.e. high five, hug, and of course the obligatory play fight. One of the main accusations levied at Andrea Din, the headmistress, was that she was suffering from a case of extreme control freakery, which there is a point to since we've gone through all of those bans already. Andrea Din did say that she believed that youngsters engaging in cuddling could put their classmates at risk of harm. So I earlier mentioned there are 2 articles, one of which is an update. Andrea Din, who actually joined the school in 2019 before being promoted to the top job not long after, apologized and said cuddling would in fact be allowed. In a message on the school's website, she said, I wanted to write to apologize to those students and parents who have taken the time to communicate constructively with the school expressing your concerns. You mean that anger on Facebook? I'm not convinced it was so much constructive as it was, you suck at your job and you are micromanaging with, again, excessive control freakery. The ideas such parents and students gave have been kind and very helpful. Thank you. You understood what we were trying to do, but had reservations about what the article said. You were right. The school remains determined to have a way of working that helps those youngsters who have missed out on so much socialization in school due to lockdown absence. You know, I kind of get the point with that, because you got to make sure that we don't spread them germs. So why don't you just recommend everyone wear a hazmat? Or perhaps get those seat covers for loos, and just have a tissue barrier between student and student. That's not cringy at all, is it? However, our previous no contact phrase and the examples we gave in our article in the last news flash were not right, and I take responsibility for that. Adding, I have met with our head students to listen to them to hear what we are trying to promote and get right, especially at break and lunchtime. We agree that appropriate human contact is a good thing and brings warmth to human friendships. Both sides should be in favor of it. Heavy-handed contact or inappropriate contact in schools, as in the wider world, is not. So high fives are not allowed, everyone. You can't high five like the Todd. How dare you, you fascists! It's nice to see you've made a concession somewhere, but in reality, you're like, you know what? These are all problematic as fuck. Come on, famlam. I can't be doing this. Andrea Ding continued. Our rule has been made much clearer. Students should not use heavy-handed contact. This applies outside the building just as it does inside. If it's not on your, territory, realm as it were, you've got sod all authority, so shut the up. I apologize once again that the article last week was just not helpful in getting the balance we were trying to get right between mature interaction and support and care and caused upset. There are commas and ands. I don't like that. This was never the intention, and I'm sorry that it has caused so much disruption. When you write an apology and you have to explain so much and then say sorry so many times, chances are your apology means jack shit. You are a condescending control freak. That is what you are, and it is what I got from reading your BS apology alone. You are exactly what the parents accused you of, trying to turn the students into robots. The problem with that is you breed additional problems later in life, because they then struggle with these interactions that in fact would make their lives so much easier if you just let it happen organically. But I guess you're trying your hardest not to admonish a student, which is another argument that can be made because you are removing the possibility it can happen, therefore the student doesn't get in trouble, and that means you don't then have to raise your voice because that's bad as well, isn't it? You can't raise your voice to children because that's haram. Unacceptable.